Arnold versus Chris Dickerson, 7-time Mr. Olympia versus 1-time Mr. Olympia, one of the most impressive bodybuilders ever against one of the least impressive Mr. Olympia winners. Chris' pictures from the contests are very scarce, even at the 1982 Mr. Olympia, which he won. So I've selected random pictures to make a solid matchup, going through most of the mandatory poses one by one. The front double biceps shows the size advantage in Arnold's favor, whose biceps have been widely considered among the best ever. Chris' biceps look weak and lack the size and the definition to match the likes of Arnold. I thought that Frank Zane was the least genetically gifted Olympia winners, but on a second thought, I think Chris does not have great genetics either. Chris was known for having the bodybuilder's pointy elbows known as the bursitis, which means the inflammation of the bursa, the small fluid-filled sac on the tip of the elbow, and it's commonly associated with weightlifting, and it shows in almost all of Chris' poses. The front lat spread shows that Arnold has the wider lats, making use of his wider structure in the chest and shoulders areas. Notice the imbalance between Chris' arms and forearms, especially the left one, where his forearm looks bigger than his arm. Chris, however, has the better separated and conditioned quads, and this is normal because bodybuilders in the 80s started to pay more attention to their lower part. The side chest shows the unbelievable difference in genetics in Arnold's favor, with his massive, complete, and dense chest in comparison with Chris' poor chest. Arnold's chest has been widely considered among the best in history, and it shows in this shot. This back shot is taken from the controversial 1980 Mr. Olympia, which Arnold won and Chris finished second. I think Chris' back looks very impressive in this shot, as he shows more details than Arnold in the rear delts and the lower traps, and his hamstrings and glutes are definitely better ripped and conditioned. Chris' pictures from this contest, however, are extremely rare, so I picked up random pictures to present the back double biceps pose in their prime time. Arnold has the better biceps peak and the more massive arms. He also had the better symmetry and proportions in his shoulders and traps. Arnold seemingly had the better lower back, which shows the Christmas tree. Chris, however, had the better ripped hamstrings and glutes, and the more massive and ripped calves. Chris, by the way, had very powerful calves that combined size and conditioning, and they showed in almost all the poses, even in the front ones. The rear lat spread shots are scarce, especially those of Arnold. I have this shot from 1971, and I assume that his lats improved later on, especially in his prime in 1973, 74 and 75, but he does not have any rear lat spread pictures from these contests, so I had to use this old one. Chris' lats look impressive considering his small structure, and he looks more ripped, and this is normal, considering the time difference between the two shots, although I'm not quite sure from which year this Chris picture is taken. Chris also has the more developed and the better ripped hamstrings, glutes, and calves. The most muscular is a total domination for Arnold, as he was known for hitting a very impressive pose, making use of his massive and ripped chest, shoulders, and traps. Notice how phenomenal his chest looks in this photo, which I believe was truly ahead of his time. Chris, on the other hand, lacks the size, the width, and the density Arnold shows in this pose. Notice how flattened his biceps are and how small his chest is in comparison with those of Arnold. I like his shoulders though. From a bodybuilding perspective, this is definitely the most impressive versus the least impressive in the 70s and early 80s era. Let me know what you think about this matchup, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Thanks for watching, and have a nice one.